It's 1998. It's one of the best years of gaming and the PlayStation 1 is firing out classic after classic. Aerosmith is playing on the radio, Wesley Snipes is slicing up vampires, and I am still in the womb. If I made this video back in 2010, based on all the PS1 games I'd played at that point, the video would probably look like this. I do think that this gives me more perspective, however, because this top 10 PlayStation 1 games are all games I played in the last 5 years or so. Sorry Shrek, you didn't make the cut this time. What did? Well, you better bloody watch and find out. Nintendo fans, don't shut up about Mario. Oh, Mario Kart is so fun to play with friends. Well, joke's on you, without friends, it's boring and miserable. But on the PlayStation, there is a kart racer that I think is better than Mario Kart. And it's even fun to play on your own. The PlayStation 1 had about 500 kart racers, but Crash Team Racing is peak driving action. It's got a drift mechanic that rewards skilled driving, tracks with shortcuts to spice up the races and give you that much needed edge. This kart racer even has a story, boss fights, collectibles. Do I even need to say more? Oh yeah, it's Crash Bleeding Bandicoot. I already did a video on this one, but it's 100% worth your time. Moving on. Final Fantasy VII is not on this list. Wah, wah. Call me crazy, but I actually prefer Final Fantasy IX. It's the only game on this list that actually made me tear up at the end. The story is moving and monumentous. Maybe I'm just burnt out on Final Fantasy VII and how much people enjoy it, but this one felt whimsical, fantastical. It just vibed with me more. I didn't like the gameplay, I'm not really a big fan of JRPG combat. Honestly, random encounters can go straight to hell along with escort missions and Pokemon, but I still recommend Final Fantasy IX, even if it's just for the top tier characterization. It may not be my favourite JRPG on the PlayStation, but it is definitely my favourite in the series. Now, I'm probably the furthest thing away from a sports fan, so when I say that I love Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2, you know I mean it. It's got Rage Against the Machines, it's got Spider-Man doing a kickflip, it's got that gameplay that I can just play over and over again. Each time different, each time a blast. There's so much experimentation, so many different moves to pull off, so many cool cheats to learn. It's overshadowed by its sequels, sure, but on the PS1, there is no better pick up and play experience. If I want to play a PS1 game and I've only got like 15 minutes to spare, this, without a doubt, is the one I'm going to pick up. I've been very clear in the past that I don't like JRPGs, so I'm going to contradict myself with yet another one on this list. Suikoden 2 has the best pixel animation on the console. So much life was poured into it. The developers knew 3D wasn't refined yet, so they made a 2D game and polished the hell out of it. Unlike Final Fantasy IX, I do like the combat, because all the things I hate about the genre are fixed. Grinding is gone, because lower party members get more XP, so you've got a balanced team. Random encounters, well, once you've outleveled the enemies in the area, you can run away, which works 100% of the time. The bread and butter of any JRPG is the story, and this one is outstanding. The story is a personal tale between two friends that are divided by war. One of the most threatening villains ever makes his appearance, Luca Blight. Yes, I even like him more than L'Oreal over here. There are plenty of stories that go on about the end of the world, but this is one of those rare ones where I really did feel the whole scale of the situation. It's scary how good this game is. Now, I'm a big boy, nothing really affects me horror wise, but Silent Hill, it's a different story. The sound design, the graphic art design, the uncomfortable subject matter. This is a game that gets under my skin, causing tons of uncomfortable feelings that no game since has matched. For a game that looks like this to still make me uneasy, it's got to be pretty well made. The thick fog of Silent Hill has become iconic amongst horror fans, bringing back memories of rusty environments and violent blood-soaked nurses. This may have started as a Resident Evil clone, but it became so much more. 2D gaming may have been on life support during the PS1 days, but that had no bearing on the quality. Mega Man X4 surpasses its trilogy on the Super Nintendo, creating a boss-beating, sword-slicing, buster-blasting thrill ride, filled with upgrades to build upon the game's combat and traversal, with two vastly different characters to play as. If you're not shooting and dashing your way through the stages as X, you're hacking and slashing your way through enemies as Zero. It's the peak of the formula, and for me, the best in the series. Whether you take into account the boss fights, the music, or the stage design, what's clear is that Run and Gun has never been this fun. When the question is brought up as to which PS1 game I've had the most fun completing, there is one clear answer. Crash Bandicoot 2, Cortex Strikes Back, perfects the gameplay from its predecessor. Crushing crates, gathering all the gems is so satisfying to do. There is tight and challenging platforming that is more fair than frustrating. This is the best platformer on the PlayStation 1, and one I'm always coming back to. Trying something completely different when your franchise is already doing pretty good is a risk, but Castlevania Symphony of the Night makes it seem effortless, becoming my preferred gameplay style for the series. The loop of finding secrets, upgrading your abilities, and defeating bosses is cathartic. The soundtrack is godly. There's a reason Symphony is in the name. It's a game that honestly has not aged a day. Unfortunately for this game, however, there are two that in my opinion top it. I remember playing Resident Evil 2 Remake thinking it was phenomenal. It wasn't until I saw this video where I thought, maybe I should try out the original. And if I'm being honest, I might actually prefer it. The way in which the narrative twists and turns depending on who you're playing as or what order you play them in is no doubt ambitious. The level design is, I think we're seeing a trend in my tastes here, maze-like with tons of secrets and key items to progress and make you stronger. There is actually strategy in choosing when to use each bullet or health item, which adds tension, becoming my second favourite game on the PlayStation 1. Number 1. This is what you wanted to hear. You probably just skipped to the end of the video. I know who you are. There is no competition for me. It is, of course, Metal Gear Solid. The cinematics and voice acting is easily the best on the console. There is an impeccable atmosphere and attention to detail, a story that cannot be topped. This is one of my favourite series, and if you look at any other top 10 PS1 videos, this is probably going to be number 1, and there's good reason for it. This was a benchmark in gaming, my favourite game on the console. It's not got the best graphics or the best gameplay, but this is the PS1 game I am always thinking about. I didn't grow up with the PlayStation 1 as I said earlier, but it genuinely blew me away with an incredible lineup of games. Obviously for every Metal Gear Solid you have a crock, but you could say that about any console. For something that came out in 1994, it is outstanding how much these games still hold up. So if for some reason you've never touched a PlayStation 1, I would say that these games are 100% worth your time. But no doubt I missed a bunch of titles, so let me know what your favourite PlayStation 1 games are down in the comments. And take it from me, the quality of these games are not just down to nostalgia. Even today, they are truly something special.
Come on, let's enjoy life.